Today we are going to talk about Kyler Murray and why we should all expect him to enter the 2019 NFL Draft. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today we are going to talk about why we should all expect Kyler Murray to enter the NFL Draft. And there are a few points to draw together that bring us to that reasoned conclusion. The first one is that Kyler Murray won the Heisman Trophy, which means that by default, he's the best player in college football for the 2018 season with over 4,000 yards passing, 40 passing touchdowns, 892 yards rushing, average 7.3 yards per rush. He was electric, and even at 5'10", which apparently folks seem to think is short, as a 5'5" guy, I take offense to that. He is the best quarterback available in the NFL Draft. Now, this is complicated because of the next thing for which a lot of folks know. This man signed a contract with the Oakland Athletics to play baseball in the summer, right? June, he gets drafted number 9 overall to the shock of many, I'm sure, including himself, because along with that draft pick comes a slotted value of $4.66 million. Matter of fact, at the time Kyler Murray was drafted, he was on an airplane and he got home and he's like, whoa, okay, so that's cool. And it was. And at the time, a lot of folks thought that Kyler Murray was going to win the starting quarterback job, and then that was thrown into flux because, hey, now you're getting paid millions of dollars to go pro in another sport, and you would expect the Oakland Athletics at the time to say, yes, we expect you to drop college football so that you can go play professional baseball. But apparently, Kyler Murray had told every baseball organization that was thinking of drafting him that I want to keep my word to Lincoln Riley and Oklahoma that I will play at least one season of college football if I'm able to, which means that he probably put a lot of folks between a rock and a hard place of saying, yeah, you could draft this supreme talent for baseball, but yeah, you're also going to let him play football. And this seemed to be unreasonable to many, but not to Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics, who said, yes, not only would we want him to go back, we would be disappointed if he didn't play quarterback for the Sooners. Man, I think Billy Beane might have just said, yeah, we don't want you to necessarily play football, because as good as Kyler Murray was expected to be, nobody expected him to be this good. Nobody expected him to not just put up the numbers that he's put up, but to be recognized as the best passer in college football and have the most efficient rating in college football history for any quarterback ever, right? In a year where you saw one quarterback break Baker Mayfield's record for passing efficiency, Kyler Murray broke that dude's record with 205.7. Both he and Tua Tagovailoa at Alabama are the first quarterbacks in college football history to have a passer rating above 200. And with Kyler, when you add in the added aspect of what he can do in the run game, my goodness, it's really difficult to argue that he could not play in the NFL tomorrow, let alone 2019. And with baseball, we know that there's a larger leap to make. It takes most guys between 2 and 4 years once they enter into a professional minor league organization to get to the show, if they get to the show. And that's complicated with Kyler because you would expect them to put him on a fast track because he's older than most guys are when they get drafted, and because you want to see your dividends quicker than you might say if you were 18 and that guy was drafted. But even at $4.6 million, which is a lot of money, Kyler Murray plays quarterback, which is why this gets complicated in the NFL again, because quarterbacks make an obscene amount of money related to sports, right? We always talk about baseball money is stupid money, and it is, unless you play quarterback in the NFL, for which you are overpaid as a rule, right? Because it's not just that you are a great quarterback, it's also that you are the face of the franchise, and you are quite honestly the face of the sport. We don't necessarily talk about Julio Jones or Odell Beckham Jr. as the face of the NFL. We talk about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes and Phillip Rivers. And Kyler Murray has the ability to join that select group if he decided to declare for the draft. And that's where we get back to why it is most interesting that Oklahoma submitted 4 names to the Collegiate Advisory Committee for the NFL, which gives the draft grades. It's made up of scouting directors and senior members of player personnel for different teams, for which they evaluate the players who want to enter the draft early. That would mean before their senior season, so that they might understand whether or not it's in their best interest financially to go ahead and make a bid for themselves to make it into the NFL before they supposedly would finish out their eligibility. Now with Kyler Murray, this again is interesting because he still has a year of NCAA eligibility left. We know that he's not going to use it. We just don't know if it's going to be on baseball that he goes pro or the NFL for which he goes pro. And then there seems to be mounting evidence to him choosing to play in the NFL. One is him being submitted as one of the 4 players for the Collegiate Advisory Committee. I don't know the other 3. Now that said, if Kyler Murray gets a first round draft grade, and I think he will, you'd have to believe that he's looking at the money like everybody else is looking at the money. And I believe these conversations are already being had because for the first time, Scott Boras softened whether or not Kyler Murray is going to play in the NFL versus in the MLB, because it had been Scott Boras saying to anybody that asked, the man's playing baseball. He signed a baseball contract and he got a historic provision for which he gets to play college football. He's not going to overlook that. However, Scott Boras knows what kind of money is at stake here, and he knows what position his client plays. So he'd be smart to say, yes, Kyler has a lot of things to think about all of a sudden. Oh, really? You don't say. Could I make $4.6 million over the next 4 or 5 years? Or could I make $30 million over the next 4 or 5 years? I wonder. And again, it's about your quality of life. We all know that baseball players have a much better time as older men because they don't have the wear and tear on their bodies that they would if they played football. However, Kyler Murray plays a position for which you're going to be protected. It's kind of like this force field that's around you that prevents people from, I don't know, dumping you on your back and getting roughing the passer calls. That's how much the NFL takes seriously the safety of its quarterbacks, and Kyler Murray would be one of those. And there are a number of teams for which Kyler Murray would be a starting quarterback for them if they could get to him. But the last bit of evidence for which I think we should all believe that Kyler Murray is going to declare for the NFL draft is the Oklahoma Sooners staff believes he's going to declare for the NFL draft. This was a fact that was buried in the story for Sports Illustrated about Kyler Murray, which was that when scouts came to watch Oklahoma play football, they all operated under the assumption that Kyler Murray would declare for the NFL draft because the staff said that he would. The staff apparently told the scouting folks for the NFL that we expect him to finish the season and then go play football as opposed to play baseball. So maybe that's been in the works the whole time. Or maybe the Oklahoma Sooners staff is doing what they're supposed to do, which try to give their guy as many options as possible. But knowing what we know about what we've seen from Kyler Murray and knowing what we know about baseball, it does not seem like a stretch for anybody to believe that. And I can understand why you wouldn't want to go voicing it and say make the Oakland A's mad. And now we're talking about whether or not he goes in the first round or whether somebody, and I think somebody will, draft him and just try to hold on to his rights through 2019 because according to the CBA, he would go back in the draft pool if he wasn't signed and if he didn't play in the NFL signed. So Kyler Murray is probably going to declare for the NFL draft this year. Now it's a question of, are you playing in the NFL or are you playing baseball? All right, that's it for me. Deuces.